So hi folks, and welcome to Windows in the Cloud, our new tech series dedicated to Windows 365 for IT pros like yourself. So before I start and introduce our next guest, please make sure to follow us on our new YouTube channel, Windows IT Pro. So you can find it in the link below over here. And without further ado, I'm very pumped and excited to have Steve Dispensa on this episode, number 8, the VP of Microsoft Endpoint Manager and Windows Commercial. And he will be talking about the history of Windows MEM as well as Windows 365 and the Windows Commercial event. So hi Steve, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine too, and thanks for being here and being part of episode number 8 already. So great to have you and looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks a lot. Congratulations on episode number 8.
Thanks. And before we jump in some very innovation kind of demos and new features we announced at the Windows Commercial event and such, can you share a little bit more about yourself and what you do within Microsoft and such?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I am the VP of product for Endpoint Manager, and I also lead Windows Commercial product. And Endpoint Manager, we'll talk more about it, but it's the largest unified endpoint management solution in the world. And in my time at Microsoft, I've also led teams across identity and security. I was part of the original Azure Sentinel project, which was a lot of fun to get started, and part of the original Azure AD launch, which was incredible. And before that, I came to Microsoft through an acquisition of a company called Phone Factor that I co-founded.
That's great. I came from an acquisition as well, Logic, so we share that kind of approach coming in Microsoft. And the services you just shared are as well a lot of core components of MEM, right? In that sort of management plane umbrella that offers kind of a SaaS, a cloud managed management solution for all your endpoints, whether it's mobile, physical PCs, as well as cloud PCs today too. So I'm always curious about the history, about products and such, where it's coming from. Can you share a little bit of the background of MEM, like where it's coming from with Intune and maybe perhaps even SMS back in the days?
Yeah, sure. So back in the mists of time, in the in the mid late '90s, we released SMS Server as Windows management solution. And that product has continued to evolve for 30 years, and has turned into today's ConfigMan, System Center Configuration Manager. It's an enormous solution. It's the largest independent management product in the world. We have close to 200 million devices under management in that solution. It's really well loved and well adopted. But 10 years ago or so, we realized that there was a whole separate management problem that IT departments were starting to have around mobile devices. Mobile device management was just coming onto the scene, and that is where Intune came from. It was a whole separate initiative originally designed to manage iOS, Android, and at the time Windows phones. And it grew up kind of separately as a cloud native service. It was launched and built on Azure, built in the Ibiza framework like the rest of Azure, and kind of grew up as a separate product. And eventually, early on, actually became part of the Enterprise Mobility Suite along with Azure AD. And what happened is a couple of years ago, it had become clear that the world was looking for unified endpoint management solutions, not just a solution for Windows or a solution for mobile devices, but one solution that could integrate the entire endpoint management landscape. And so we did a bunch of work that ultimately resulted in the release a couple of years ago, a little over 2 years ago, of MEM, of Microsoft Endpoint Manager, the integrated solution that combines ConfigMan and Intune. To back that up, we built a bunch of cool technology to connect on-premises devices to the cloud through things like co-management and tenant attach. And last year, you saw us launch Endpoint Analytics, which is now enormous. 40-something million devices are using EA every day. And so that sort of brings us up to date. MEM is now the largest endpoint management solution in the world, largest mobility solution, the largest PC management solution, and we're even adding and enriching our support for things like Mac OS and Linux on the endpoint as well. So big bright future for MEM, but it's come a long way.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I of course know some of those stories. So it's great to transfer that over to the audience here. Just to put things a little bit in perspective, like how many devices, what can we publicly share, so to say, are currently managed by MEM? And that includes, as I said, mobile physical PCs, Windows 365 and such.
Yeah, it's around a couple hundred million PCs that are managed across the whole ecosystem. The cloud-based solution is around 115 million protected users on Intune, which is just a fantastic number, and it's just been growing so rapidly year over year. And then, of course, ConfigMan is still going strong. It's getting bigger and bigger every day. And in fact, we've just increased the resourcing again on Configuration Manager. We expanded our team in a new location for that as well. So lots of growth in both systems still.
Yeah, those numbers are amazing, and they are constantly growing, and that's great to see. But we are not stopping there, right? We want to keep continuing innovating and being on that cutting edge of technology and improving, and make sure that customers keep going, and we meet the customers where they want to be today or tomorrow. So segueing into the Windows commercial event that happened and all the great announcements around MEM and Windows 365, can you talk a little bit about that, what we presented there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been such an amazing journey for Windows Commercial over the last year, culminating in some ways in this Windows Commercial event that you just saw. It's really our relaunch almost of Windows for commercial customers, of Windows 11, with a whole bunch of innovations that we're so excited to talk about publicly now. For example, we're bringing the mobile application management concept from the Intune world for mobile devices. We're bringing it to Windows Home. And I cannot wait to have this in folks' hands. We're going to enable people to work from a personally owned device while without having to give IT full control over their device, but still giving IT departments the full control, security, and compliance that they need over their data on the end user device. And we're doing this by building some tech way into the operating system to basically copy the model that we have on iOS, on Android, and implant it in Windows for personally owned devices. There's another unbelievable bit of work going on in the security realm for Windows 11. Things like really increasing the strength of the tokens that are used by the identity system and by the management system, hardware binding them to the TPM chip that's present in every Windows 11 device, so that those tokens, once they're issued to the endpoint, they can't be lifted off the endpoint and played elsewhere. They're physically bound to hardware on the motherboard. And another one that we'll be talking about is making Windows credentials impossible, or at least extremely difficult to phish. And we're doing that by enlightening the OS itself, so that anytime it sees a Microsoft account password, an Azure AD password, or a consumer password that's about to flow to the network, it makes sure that the connection that it's talking to on the network is actually the Microsoft Identity Service. So it's impossible to sort of send your password out in an email, or most importantly, in a website that's pretending to be a login site but isn't the real one. And there's so much more coming beyond that, but those are just a few of the highlights for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, and really an example of listening to customers and improve and be on that cutting edge. And one thing the audience probably don't know, but maybe like assume we do, is that we have a huge like connection between Windows 365 and your team to work together on some future looking features, how we can bring Windows to the cloud and use it agnostically on any device, for example. So before we jump into some demos and show the audience kind of the future around like Windows and Windows 365 and Windows 11 and how it all integrates and consolidates together to each other, can you share a little bit of the demos, like what we announced during the Windows commercial event around Windows 365 and MEM and Windows?
Sure. Well, I should start by saying that Windows 365 is definitely one of the most exciting things that's happened to Windows in a long time. It's designed to be not just like a VDI solution, but it's really a brand new offering that treats the cloud PC as an extension of the physical PC. And over time, you're going to see us really innovating in Windows 365 and in the way it connects so tightly to the Windows endpoint and to the management system. I think that's a big part of it. But Windows 365 is super easy to provision directly from Endpoint Manager. Then our Endpoint Analytics product I talked about earlier helps you manage and monitor and understand your Windows 365 estate. And so there's a ton of work going on between our teams on that. And that leads us to really 4 demos that I want to talk about. The first one starts from step 1, the provisioning process. And we're going to show how you can provision a cloud PC via Endpoint Manager with Azure AD Join support and without any requirement for on-premises infrastructure, on-premises management, etc. So with no Azure subscription, none of that sort of VDI junk. I'll show how easy it is just to go from 0 to 60 on Win365. Okay, here I am in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center portal in the Windows 365 Blade. Provisioning a cloud PC has never been easier with Azure AD Join support, which is in public preview right now. Here you can see a list of existing cloud PCs that I already have assigned to my users. To create a new cloud PC for Carl, I only have to create a provisioning policy. Let me show you that quickly so you can see how easily this all works. Let's enter a name for the provisioning policy, Azure AD Join as the configuration option, as well as a region. You can also see that my network will be hosted by Microsoft. After that, I'm selecting Windows 11 as gallery image to use in my cloud PC. And this will include all the latest updates of Windows, of course. I'm almost done. So now I can select the language in the cloud PC. And after that, I'm assigning the provisioning policy to an Azure AD group to assign it to Carl, who is a member of that group. All right, let's confirm all the configuration steps in this summary. And if that's all looking good, we can start the provisioning process. And that's it. In around 10 to 15 minutes, my cloud PC will be ready to use. Okay, let's now switch over to connecting to this cloud PC from our new Windows 365 experience in Windows 11. Okay, here we have the Windows 365 experience built into Windows 11. Windows 365 is tailored for organizations who don't want to build, deploy, and maintain complex virtualization environments. Users can immediately be productive with Windows 365 without any training or overhead from IT. We provide a simple first-run experience to orient the user to their cloud PC. And then, launching the cloud PC takes me directly to where I left off. This is another unique characteristic of Windows 365. It is my personal desktop in the cloud, and I can connect to it from anywhere on any device, and I'm right back where I left off. This app will be delivered in the box as part of Windows, and we're also partnering with your team on delivering the deployment of the Windows 365 app easily from within the app delivery menu as a part of Microsoft Endpoint Manager. The next demo takes it a step further and allows you to boot to the cloud PC directly from sign-in with Windows 11. Let's take a look at how that works. Okay, with Cloud Boot, an admin can configure a Windows 11 device to boot directly to Windows 365, providing a seamless experience for a user to connect directly to their cloud PC. In this demo, the user will log in using Windows Hello for Business and connect right back to where she left off with her cloud PC. It's that easy. This is a great scenario for users on a shared device to quickly get access to the corporate environment, and IT admins can provide a highly secured and consistent environment. On to our next demo. The next one is we're bringing some really cool Cloud PC integration natively into Windows 11 and to the Windows shell and taskbar. Let's take a look and see how that works. Okay, if you don't want to sign directly onto your Cloud PC, another feature we're working on lets you easily navigate between your local desktop and your Cloud PC by using the Windows Task View. If I'm working in Windows 11, my Cloud PC is just a click away. I just open Task View and Windows 365 is shown running and ready to launch. Clicking on the Cloud PC gives me a clear, clean way to navigate between the two different environments. Now I can complete my work without having to launch an app, sign in, or think about how to access my Cloud PC. Once I sign into my Windows 11 device, I'm ready to be productive anywhere, on my local desktop or on my Cloud PC. And switching back to the desktop is the same step and just as fast as switching to the Cloud PC. I just open Task View again and click on my local desktop thumbnail that shows my app still running. The seamless switch helps users focus on being productive and getting work done without the distraction of finding and launching their Cloud PC. Those were all cool demos. And last but not least, we're going to show you a new idea that we're just starting to work on that we're calling offline Cloud PC. Let's take a look. Okay, this is our vision for Cloud Boot with Cloud Sync on a premium Windows endpoint. In this example, Melissa is traveling, and while waiting for her flight, she is working online with her Cloud PC. As she boards the flight and loses network connectivity, she's prompted to work offline. After a quick switch to offline mode, she can continue work on her spreadsheet. And when she arrives at her destination and network connectivity is restored, she can switch back to working online with her more performant Windows 365 Cloud PC. Pretty cool stuff. So there was a set of really cool demos of functionality that we cannot wait to bring you.
So that's awesome, Steve. Really like the kind of innovation. And of course, I've been involved in this work, but every time I see those demos, I'm like blown away of the kind of innovation and how many customers we will help in this journey moving to the cloud. So for the people that didn't catch up on the Windows commercial event, is there a link where they can catch up and watch the recordings of sessions that we presented there?
Yeah, definitely encourage you to check out the recordings. There's a link below here you can go to and you'll have all the videos.
Awesome. And how can people stay in touch with you to provide feedback or just connect and see updates on the platform?
Sure. I'd love to connect on Twitter. I'm at Dispensa, and on LinkedIn, I'm linkedin.com/in/Dispensa.
Yeah, that's great. And I see you a lot on social media. You're very, very active. So definitely encourage people to connect with you. And yeah, with that, I would like to close the episode. So thank you, Steve, for hopping on here and driving the innovation in episode number 8 already. And thank you, the audience, of course, to again tuning in or being a new visitor. And make sure to follow us on aka.ms/Windows in the Cloud or my own social media channel at Brinkhoff_C. And yes, we hope to see you back next time. So thank you for watching.